Hey everybody. In this video, we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting integers. Adding integers we've been doing. Subtracting integers is something new, but hopefully you'll see a nice visual representation that might make it a little bit easier. Because adding and subtracting integers are definitely related. Some of the rules between the two might get a little tricky, so hopefully this visual will really help with that. I'm going to be talking through some examples using an application online that you do have access to. It's either posted in your Google Classroom or maybe on your daily document. With that, we have some guided notes. So I'm also going to be kind of talking through these guided notes, doing the examples on your guided notes so you can have all of this information in a nice organized space in one place. Before I start actually doing examples, I just want to kind of scroll through the guided notes because you're going to notice there's a lot of spaces like this that are highlighted in light purple. Here it says type your answers here, type your answer here. There's a 5. Where does the balloon end up? So basically, wherever you see these light purple highlighted, that's where you're going to be typing in an answer. I'm going to be talking about the answer, or you're going to see it on my screen over here. But just know that as I talk about some stuff, make sure you're kind of paying attention and following along in the guided notes with this video because you will be answering questions. And again, I made it a little more obvious where you're supposed to type because I made it highlighted in light purple. However, you might see here, I already wrote out this answer and I highlighted in purple. I only did that so that you can look and see this is what my answer should look like. So that when you get to one like this down here, oh, I know that my answer's supposed to look something like this because it's already typed out up here. So this is kind of my answer. And again, it's just a way for you to really see what it should look like as you're typing. So I put a little screenshot just so you can see what I'm referencing here. At the top, it says key things to think about with this app. Now, I'm going to talk about this up here, these first 2 stars. Underneath with these 2 stars, this is where you're going to have to start typing because again, it says type your answers here. If you printed this out and you're using, a pen or a pencil, you can always write it next to the type your answers here. You can cross it out and write your answers, whatever makes the most sense for you. So let's start out with looking at when it says, what do the bags of gas do? What do the bags of sand do? Now, you might be a little confused because why are we talking about bags of gas and bags of sand? But this application that we're going to be using gives a visual of adding and subtracting integers with a hot air balloon. I don't know if anyone's ever been in a hot air balloon. I personally have not. It looks really cool, looks like very pretty, but the concepts of a hot air balloon, that's what we're going to be using today. So when it says bags of gas and bags of sand, you're going to notice these are written over here. We have this black here and this red here. Now, again, I've never been in a hot air balloon, but what I know about hot air balloons is that they put gas or they put hot air into the balloon and it makes the balloon float. So the more hot air and the more gas you add to the balloon, the higher up the balloon is going to go. It makes it float higher and higher and higher. On the other hand, bags of sand, I know bags of sand are heavy. I use it to weigh down umbrellas or basketball hoops or something where I don't want it to fall over. Me and my dad put like bags of sand on it to hold them down. So bags of sand are heavy. So while bags of gas are going to make the balloon go higher, bags of sand are going to make the balloon go lower. Some words I'm going to be using, as you can see over here, bags of gas make the balloon rise. So I'm going to be using rise. And bags of sand are heavy. So when you drape them over the side, they make the balloon sink. I'm going to be using that word sink a lot. Now, if you look down, it says looking at the number line because I don't know if you noticed, but there is a number line right here. Number lines are not going away. They're super helpful. And while the hot air balloon is helpful on its own, we still need this number line to really see the integers that this balloon is going to. So when it says, looking at the number line, as the balloon rises, the numbers, what do we think? As the balloon rises, as the balloon goes higher, the numbers are getting larger. They're getting more and more positive. So we should type that in. As the balloon rises, the numbers are getting larger or bigger and more positive. On the other hand, as the balloon sinks, so the second bullet here, as the balloon sinks, the numbers are getting lower. They're getting smaller, or they're getting more and more negative. So as the balloon sinks, the numbers are getting smaller and more negative. I'm going to be talking and kind of pausing. However, if you need more time to actually type out what I'm saying or write out what I'm saying, please feel free. Please feel free to just pause this video, and then once you're done typing or writing, just press play again. I just don't want to take long pauses for people that maybe don't need it, but for those of you that do need a longer time, just press pause. Now, if we look down or scroll down where it says, watch what happens when Mr. Fazio uses the add one and subtract one buttons to the left of the number line. So nothing to type here, as you can see. It just says, pay attention to which way the balloon is moving and what's happening to the current position number. So just to kind of get used to it, this hot air balloon, if I click add one, notice how the balloon went up one and the current position is 1. I add 3 more, 1, 2, 3. Now the balloon's at 4. My current position is 4. If I'm subtracting, if I want to subtract 3, 1, 2, 3, notice the balloon moved back down to 1, and again, the current position is 1. So this current position here is going to match where the balloon is here, because that's its current position. That's where it is on the number line. If I want to subtract 3 more, 1, 2, 3, notice how now we're in those negatives. Current position, -2. Starting position, -2. This starting position is going to change, so I wouldn't pay so much attention to this. We're really going to be looking at current position, and we're going to be looking at where this hot air balloon actually is on the number line. Helpful button here. If you press reset, everything goes back to 0. So I'm going to be hitting that a lot, so just keep that in mind. All right, now we're going to be looking at this part. We're going to be actually doing some addition problems. So when solving addition and subtraction problems, we need to represent positive and negative numbers differently. So we can't just click all the buttons and expect, the positives to go one way, the negatives to go another. So we have to kind of come up with some common rules here. So type your answer here. This is where we're going to be typing. Bags of gas represent, and you're going to be right here typing, bags of gas represent positive numbers. And the reason for that is if you're adding gas to your hot air balloon and it's getting higher up, it's getting larger, those are your positive numbers. So again, here we should be typing bags of gas represent positive numbers. Bags of sand represent, on the other hand, bags of sand are heavy and they weigh the balloon down. So if I'm adding bags of sand, notice the balloon is getting lower. So bags of sand are going to represent negative numbers. I'll actually bold these for you so we won't forget. And negative numbers. So again, bags of gas, those are going to be our positive numbers. Bags of sand are going to be negative numbers. And all we're going to be doing with that is either adding bags of gas, adding bags of sand, or taking away bags of sand eventually. Now, for our first example, this one's kind of done out for us, but we're going to follow along still on the application. So 7 plus -2, that's going to be our first problem that we're going to solve. You might know this off the top of your head, which is awesome, but we're still going to show what this is going to look like with the number line and with the hot air balloon. So again, positive numbers represent bags of gas. So I have a +7 which means I'm first adding 7 bags of gas. See if I can see both of these at the same time. It's a little bit small. So the first thing, 7 plus -2, +7, which again, my bags of gas represent positive numbers. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bags of gas. And then plus -2, my negative numbers, remember, represent bags of sand. So I am adding 2 bags of sand. I'm adding, using add 1 over here, 1, 2 bags of sand. And it says my current position. So this current position here is going to represent your answer. So I added 7 bags of gas, +7, plus 2 bags of sand, plus -2 is getting me to +5. My balloon went up to 7 because I added 7 bags of gas. And then I needed to bring my balloon down to plus -2. So I'm adding 2 bags of sand, and that's bringing me down to +5. I'm going to reset. If I scroll here, now I'm going to write this one out. I'm doing -5. Oops, let me do this a little bit smaller. I'll do it over here. -5 plus 3. All right. Now, -5 plus 3. I have to think again, what do my negative numbers represent? I have it over here. -5, remember, negative numbers are my bags of sand. So if I have -5, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of sand. That's my -5. We can think of this red 5 as negative. And then I'm adding 3. So I added 5 bags of sand and brought my balloon down to -5. I'll draw a little arrow. I brought my balloon down to -5. Then I need to add 3. And remember, +3, adding +3, I'm adding 1, 2, 3 bags of gas. Because again, my gas is representing positive numbers. So from here, I'm going up 3. And then what's my answer? Current position is -2. And look where my hot air balloon is here at -2. That's going to be my final answer. And if you're hopefully still following along with your guided notes, notice how my answer, where does the balloon end up? Where does the balloon end up? What are we typing here? Your answer is -2. Again, you might have known that off the top of your head because of the addition problems we've been doing, but we just want to model it and use bags of gas and bags of sand with this as just another way of thinking about it. I'm going to clear this. Now, that's the addition problems we're going to do for now, just to kind of introduce this with addition problems because you're already familiar with addition problems. We're now going into subtraction. This is going to be really, really important when it comes to bags of gas being positive and bags of sand being negative. We're going to really talk through some of these. So now we're going to look at what happens with subtraction. So it says, we'll start out with a problem like 3 minus -4. What does this mean in terms of bags of sand and bags of gas? So with a problem like, and I'll rewrite it over here, -3, +3, with a problem like 3 minus -4. And again, this is different from problems we've already seen because we haven't seen ones where we're subtracting a negative or a positive. So what we're going to be doing here is modeling with bags of gas and bags of sand. Remember, these bags of gas are positive, and these bags of sand are our negatives. And I'm just writing that there so we can remember. So if we look at our guided notes, it says we'll add 3 bags of gas and subtract 4 bags of sand. That's going to be a lot to kind of think about here. Remember, positive 3 is bags of gas. So that one's a little more straightforward. We're adding 1, 2, 3 bags of gas because 3 is positive. Bags of gas are positive. And this is where it's a little different than before. We're subtracting -4. What does that mean? Subtracting -4. Well, this -4 is representing bags of sand. If I'm subtracting -4, that means I'm subtracting or taking away 4 bags of sand. And what this is going to look like is I'm subtracting 1, 2, 3, 4 bags of sand. Why did my balloon go up? If we're thinking about it as a hot air balloon, if adding bags of sand make the balloon sink because it's getting heavier, if I'm taking away those bags of sand, that's making it rise because I'm taking away that weight, that it's not being dragged down anymore. It's not sinking down. If I'm taking that weight away, that's making the balloon rise up higher. So think about it. What would happen to a balloon if you took away bags of sand or weights? Right here, and I'll actually type this with you. What would happen to a balloon if you took away bags of sand or weights? The balloon would rise because it's not as heavy anymore. You're taking those weights away, so you're not making it sink lower, you're making it rise up higher. And it says, watch what happens when Mr. Fazio does this in the video. I just did it, but I'll do it one more time. So again, +3, 1, 2, 3 bags of gas, and I'm subtracting -4. I'm subtracting, taking away 4 bags of sand. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, taking away weight, taking away bags of sand is making your hot air balloon get higher. It's making your hot air balloon rise. So my current position is 7. We're going to talk about another way we can look at net 3 minus -4 to get us to 7 in this next example. I'm going to reset. We're going to do a couple more examples here. So if that one was a little confusing, just make sure you're following along and still taking notes. So if we go to this next one, it says right here, we have 2 minus -3. And for those of you that were confused why we're using parentheses, that's because of this. If we had 2 minus -3 with no parentheses, it'd look a little, a little weird. So that's why we have these parentheses. I'm going to rewrite this problem. 2 minus -3. All right. Again, we're going to be thinking about this in terms of bags of sand and bags of gas. So similarly to what the problems looked like above, where we have this 2 is positive. Remember, positive numbers are bags of gas. So I'm first going to be adding 1, 2 bags of gas because, again, this 2 is positive. And remember, bags of gas represent positive numbers. And then I'm subtracting -3. Remember, these negative numbers are bags of sand. So if I'm subtracting -3, that means I'm subtracting bags of sand. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3 here. I added 2 bags of gas because 2 is positive. I'm subtracting 3 bags of sand because 3 is negative. And where do I end up? I end up at positive 5. All right. So again, look at where you're supposed to type it in. Where does the balloon end up? We're ending up at positive 5 because starting at 0, you're adding gas to your balloon. And I'll even draw a little arrow. From 0, you're adding gas to your balloon to 2. And then you're taking away weight. You're taking away 3 bags of sand, which is going to make your balloon go even higher. So I'm going to go all the way up to 5. I'm subtracting a negative. I'm subtracting away bags of sand, which is making my balloon rise and become more positive. Now, this is when we're going to look right here where it says 2 minus negative 3 equals 2 plus 3. If we notice, 2 minus negative 3 looks a lot like, if we look at our arrows, positive 2 plus positive 3. The addition problem, 2 plus 3 also equals 5. So notice here, this one I did for you, but you're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing this one down here together. 2 minus negative 3 is the exact same thing as 2 plus 3, which is a much simpler, more basic addition problem than looking at subtracting a negative. So keep that in mind. That's going to come in handy because, again, we're adding 2 bags of gas, positive 2, and we're taking away 3 bags of sand, which is making our hot air balloon rise up 3 spaces. We have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to erase some of this. We're going to be doing a lot of practice with subtracting negatives. So if at first, this is a little confusing or you're not exactly sure what this all means with the hot air balloon, this is not the only day you're going to be doing this. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Just make sure you're following along and typing in or writing in with your guided notes. Okay, the next problem we're going to do, I'm going to write over to the side here. We have negative 1 minus negative 6. All right. So let's again think of this in terms of bags of gas and bags of sand. If you're looking, hopefully, at your guided notes, I did write that in already for us because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a lot of negative signs. So I have to make sure I keep them all straight. First, I'm looking at this negative 1 here. Remember, negative numbers are bags of sand. So I'm adding 1 bag of sand because this is a negative 1. I'm adding 1 bag of sand. So the first thing I did was I went from 0, and I'm going to try to do this. It's very small. 0 down to negative 1. All right. Now again, I'm subtracting negative 6. I'm subtracting 6 bags of sand, which I have here, subtract. So I'm saying, all right, I'm subtracting a negative 6 and I'm taking away 6 bags of sand. If I'm taking away sand, it's taking away weight from my hot air balloon, and I should be rising. I should be going up, getting larger. But let's see. Subtracting negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My balloon went up a lot. I subtracted a negative 6. Subtracted negative 6. Notice how I went from this negative 1 starting point up positive 6 all the way up to positive 5. Because again, adding a bag of sand brought me down because it's making my hot air balloon weigh more. Taking away bags of sand is taking away the weight is making it weigh less. It should rise up that amount of bags all the way up to positive 5. So answer, where does your hot air balloon end up? If we look, current position is 5. So my answer here is going to be 5. Where does the hot air balloon end up? is positive 5. So that, again, should be going right here. And this bottom part here, negative 1 minus negative 6, and I said type the addition problem here. We're going to do that together. So what we've been doing is looking at number lines with the arrows that we modeled addition on, and we've been writing addition problems based on those number lines. So we're going to do that again. If I look at my number line here, I went down to negative 1, which I'll write out. I'm going to try to find the same color. So I went down to negative 1 first. And again, we're looking at this like addition. So I'm adding. I'll go back to lime green. I'm adding positive 6, negative 1 plus 6. I went down to negative 1, and then notice my arrow is going up in the positive direction, and it's 6 spaces long. And then it equals 5. So, again, to follow along with your guided notes, I'll type it here and I'll make it bold. We have negative 1 plus, not 76, just 6. Negative 1 plus 6. Because again, subtracting negative, taking away bags of sand, is very similar. It's the exact same thing as adding gas, because subtracting away bags of sand is making your hot air balloon rise up higher because that weight isn't there anymore. That weight isn't making the balloon sink anymore. Taking away 6 bags of sand, just like we just did, is identical to adding 6 bags of gas. If you don't believe me, let me reset. So again, I'm still adding 1. I still have a negative 1 here. Oops, sorry. Hold on. Reset. I'm still adding 1 bag of sand because that's this negative. And then we're going to try to prove that negative 1, so adding 1 bag of sand plus 6, adding 6 bags of gas is the same thing. So I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice how it took the same exact path. I went down 1 because I'm adding 1 bag of sand here, and then subtracting away 6 bags of sand is the exact same thing as adding bags of gas. Subtracting negative 6 is the same thing as adding positive 6. Again, we're going to be looking at this a lot more in the future. This is just a little introduction here. Now, if we look down at your guided notes to summarize, and this is in a little bit bigger font because it's super important. It says, to summarize, taking away a bag of sand is exactly like adding a bag of gas, which we just talked about. So it says, which means that subtracting a negative is exactly like adding a, and we'll do this together. Oops, we'll do this together. Positive. Subtracting a negative is exactly like adding a positive. Taking away bags of sand is exactly like adding bags of gas because they're both making that balloon rise. If you have any questions on this, like I said, we're going to be doing this for a long time, lots of examples. This is just one way of visualizing it and thinking about it. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to email your teacher. But again, this is not the only day we're going to be doing this. Keep these notes in a safe place. Save them to your drive if you did them online. If you printed them out, make sure you keep them in a folder or just with all your other math stuff. Again, email your teacher with any questions.